Then when you move down, you see there are these little beautiful widgets come up here, and one of them is the top alarming host. Now these are the hosts which you will be able to see here, which has these alarms available today at this point of time. So for some reason, I think during the initial part of the day, the alarms are less because it's a dcloud or a demo environment. By the day, time passes, you will see more and more alerts in this dcloud environment. I think this is how it is created. I'm not sure why, but right now you see that okay, these are the hosts which are showing alarms. For example, this host shows data hoarding activity going on. This host has a policy violation going on, so on and so forth. In the alarms by type, there are the different category of alarms you can see here. So all of these, icons or all of these areas, wherever you hover your mouse, or all these clickables. Now, what you can also do is, deselect all of them and then specifically select, for example, crypto compliance violation. Now, this will give you a specific use case where you want to see which are the hosts in my environment which are not complying to TLS protocol being used. For example, I say that in my company we do not allow TLS 1.2 or lower, and the mandatory TLS protocol for use is 1.3. We want to see that where is the violation happening, because it could be really critical when it comes to actual breach. They may leverage these weaknesses in TLS. So if I see, if I click on that, it will take me to all of these host groups, the source IP, destination IP, which are using TLS 1.0. So you will be able to see all these, data which are not complying to your policy. So you can quickly take actions here, maybe ask your applications team to update their applications and comply and start using TLS 1.3 protocol for encryption, so on and so forth. Similarly, today's alarms, you will see top alarms which are present in the system for today. You will see alarms related to suspect data hoarding, policy violation, recon, these kind of things. And then top applications, you will see which are the top applications contributing to your inbound and outbound flow as well over here. A flow collection trend overall from your environment, you'll be able to see, where are these spikes in my environment, and then probably zoom in onto those spikes and see what's going on at that particular time. Probably this is more of a NetOps kind of a use case. And then finally, much spoken about is the cognitive threat analytics, which is cloud-based machine learning, supervised machine learning, which can detect encrypted traffic present in your environment, which has malware present in it. For example, this particular host, 10.74.89.167, it says encrypted, which means that this particular host has a click fraud malware as suggested by cognitive threat analytics, and this was identified within an encrypted traffic. Now imagine you did not have something like this, or you did not have SSL offloading capability. This malware would go unnoticed in your environment. You will never be able to detect it because most of your protective controls, they do not decrypt the packets and then scan or look for malware. They do not, whether it's any vendor. So it's really important to have tools like StealthWatch to be able to detect encrypted traffic and malware present inside the encrypted traffic without decrypting. Now, if you want to know more information on this, you go ahead and click on this host. Let me go back. Let's stick to our use case. Which is click fraud. Okay, let me go back here again. And now when I click on this, it will give you a host level view of what's happening from this host to internally inside host or outside hosts. So on this page, you see that at the bottom, you see, although this is a demo environment and maybe there are some issues with the ICE integration, when ICE is integrated, you will be able to see two options here, quarantine and unquarantine, which means that since cognitive threat analytics has given you a verdict of a rating of 9, suspicious rating of 9 to this particular host, which means that this definitely has a malware present in it. Now, when you go inside this host, you can select quarantine from here and then isolate that machine so that that malware, click fraud malware, does not spread from your environment to the other. Now, you can see a complete timeline of how cognitive threat analytics qualified this particular host contributing to a click fraud or has this click fraud malware present inside is you see this the rating of this host change from 7 to 8 to 9, and when you see a circle around it, which means that it is with very high fidelity, CTA has confirmed that it is guaranteed presence of malware inside it. Now, if you want more details, you can go inside incident detail and see, more information like we will see here. What are the different domains this host connected to over a period of time? Which are the different IP addresses? This could be, C2C IPs or any Bogon IPs. What are the different autonomous systems it has relationship? So it gives you a complete host domain autonomous system relationship. And this is the metadata excluding the payload, which was sent to Cognitive Threat Analytics, from the host. For compliance reasons, we do not want to send any payload. So it's just the metadata which is sent here. And with high fidelity, CTA has confirmed that, yes, it has a definite malware. If you want to see more information, what this click fraud malware is, you will click on that particular link and it will tell you, how do they work? What are the different techniques, tactics they leverage? What are the C2Cs they leverage? And what category of malware this is? This is a Trojan. So you get all of this good information on this particular tool. Now, now when we have done this integration, now leveraging StealthWatch, we have also done segmentation in our environment. We have done ICE-based security group tags-based segmentation. We have created firewall rules to block communication from one zone to the other or from confidential servers to the external world outside internet. So how do we know whether our rules or segmentation is working effectively or not? Because security today is based on a lot of assumptions. Now, there has to be a way to track whether all those rules are working in real life or not. How do we do that? So the best way to do that is to test whether any flows are flowing from a specific environment to the other or not. So in this use case, what we're going to see is, let's assume we have our developers sitting out in Atlanta location and they access or they write code or they upload code or deploy code to two kind of servers. One is servers present in the DMZ and the second servers present in the confidential host group or zone. We will see how flows are flowing between, there is a data flowing between the Atlanta location where the developers are to the confidential servers and from Atlanta location where the developers are to the DMZ. But at the end of the day, what we do not want is that the DMZ should not have access to the confidential servers, because obviously we want to protect our confidential data. We do not want to expose this to the external world. So we will see how this works. So the first is we want to see whether using flow data, we want to see whether we can communicate from Atlanta to DMZ or not. So we will select a time range over a period of 24 hours, and then the peer address or the peer host group, it could be internal or could be outside host as well. So we will see whether the developers in Atlanta can communicate with DMZ servers or not. So this is a use case where you're going to do a policy, policy violation detection, whether the policy is being complied to or not, segmentation is being adhered to or not. So when I click on search, I should expect certain flows going on over a period of last 24 hours using this search. Yes, so obviously there are data flowing from Atlanta, from developers to the DMZ. So this, yes, this works properly and this is how we configured. So this is fine. Now we want to search whether our developers are able to connect to hosts or servers present in confidential zone. So as per the policy configuration, this is what is also allowed according to us. So hopefully over the last 24 hours period, we should also see some data here. Great. So this is as per design. Our developers are able, which are sitting in Atlanta location, they're able to talk to DMZ servers, they're able to talk to confidential servers. Now we want to see whether, as per our rule, we do not want or we have not allowed communication from DMZ servers to confidential servers. So we will see that. These are the confidential servers. Now let me select DMZ from here, and I want to see whether there is any traffic from DMZ or not. Ideally, there should not be any traffic flowing because this is how we have configured and this is how the demo is configured to not allow any communication from DMZ to the confidential servers. Again, over a period of last 24 hours, I'm going to search for any flows if they are present or not. So we will see the result. So it may take a little bit of time. Looks like there are no flows present here. So this is kind of actually confirming that yes, whatever configurations or whatever policies we created related to segmentations are definitely working. So this is one use case where you can, sort of leverage StealthWatch for. And then also what you can do is you can also say, if I want to do further investigation, we saw that how you can do incident response using a quarantine, unquarantine option from StealthWatch. Just give me 1 second. All right. Now this use case, we want to see all right, so before I go to that use case, let me show you how these host groups work. So in the host groups, if I go to monitor and host groups, you see a clear, alarms related to host groups. Like for example, which are the different hosts present in my environment and what is the communication between different hosts, whether inside or outside, from let's say desktop to New York location or from desktop or let's say DNS server zone or domain controllers to any of these locations. So for example, we want to investigate further and we say that, let's say there is no business for us to send data to Germany. If we see traffic flowing to Germany, then obviously it's a policy violation. We don't want to go that route. Let's see one use case where this particular alarm is created and this host shows data hoarding kind of behavior. So if I go deeper, which means that now I'm getting into a host. So this is being used for doing forensic investigation kind of purpose, wherein I'm getting to this host. I know I want to see what this host is actually doing, what kind of communication it has internally or externally. Now, what I see here is that this host is part of end user devices host group, desktops, Atlanta, sales marketing, these kind of things. What I also notice is that in the security events, I see that suspected data hoarding. Which means that we have observed that this host has close to 1.97 GB of data being downloaded from a server, and which is not a normal behavior because this host never used to download that in the past. And maybe this is breaching a threshold which I have set in our environment. And this host is also doing a lot of scans, close to so if you see this concern index, so this is a very clear indicator. The higher the concern index, the higher the problem with